All right. We're just a little behind schedule is all. We're gonna get to grandma's in no time. Don't you kids worry back there.
Well, at least we're, back on schedule, despite what happened back there.
Yes, that's exactly right, living child. You're absolutely right.
Do you want to explain, the lady in the white dress, though? Like, why she's here with us?
Well, what kind of man would I be if I left a woman in white on the side of the road in the middle of the cold on Christmas Eve? I mean, come on, that would be pretty callous, wouldn't it?
I guess, but she really only seems to pop up when bad things happen. Back there.
Oh, that's nonsense. You're just being paranoid.
Maybe.
I have an idea. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
Now
row,
Marion's
row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Now her dead baby.
This podcast is about why horror scares us. What deep, dark, secret, scary cinema shines a light on. The discussions are frank and involve conversations about abuse, trauma, and mental health. There are also spoilers, so keep that in mind too. Now, sharpen your machetes and straight razors, because this is Cutting Deep into Horror.
Well, hello, my spookies, and a very happy holidays to you all. It is I, your intrepid host, Enrique Couto, here with my co-host here on Cutting Deep into Horror, Rachel Rodolfi. Rachel, how are you?
I'm doing pretty all right.
Yeah?
Yeah. Glad to not be in the car with the dead baby anymore.
Well, I mean, it's still early. There's always more places to go. This is the 5th day of Hanukkah, when this airs.
Oh, Mazel Tov?
That'll do. But, it's, December 19th. So Crimbo is really close to, coming along.
Right around the corner.
It really is. And I've been enjoying it, but, boy, howdy.
Lots of work, huh?
Yeah. I remember when I worked in retail. I actually liked working retail at Christmas time, which I know people are like, what? What is wrong with you?
You would, though.
I really enjoy. And the funniest part is I didn't just work retail. I worked retail at the mall.
I know. Because you're a son of a bitch.
At the Spencer's Gifts, baby. And which I liked working at Spencer's Gifts, too. It was just the management wasn't so good. I mean, literally, they couldn't make my schedule right so that I could keep working there. So what was I supposed to do? But no. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the crowds and the music and all that. That's just me. I love Christmas and all that. But I'm not gonna lie. When I went to work at the TV station, I could say it now because the dumb shit boss of mine, he's retired now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And hope it's warm down there, fucker. No, no, he was a terrible boss, terrible person toward me. But when I worked at DATV, at first I was like, oh hell yeah, we don't have a Christmas rush season, which is overall true. But we did have to film the parade, the parade on Black Friday, I think is when it was. Yeah. It was on Black Friday. And we did have to film a few other little Christmassy things, which actually were kind of fun, as long as it wasn't too cold. But I remember being like, yay, it doesn't go nuts with, this or that. And then when I became self-employed, there were about 5 or 6 years there where it just Christmas time was just slow. So I just chilled. I was broke, like dead ass broke.
Yeah.
I had no money. I remember. This is so funny. So I think it was the first December after I became self-employed, work dried up. I had like a really good run of gigs between going up to Canada to do the director of photography work on a movie, and then coming back here. And then I did a seminar for Film Dayton. And back then they paid you for those. They don't pay you anymore. But back then they cut you a check, which was really nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I agreed to it. And then I found out about the check. I was like, oh man, she led with the check, but cleared and everything. But so, I was doing all right. But then once like November ended, it was just nothing. There were no commercials to work on, and I was still building my business out. I was trying to sell physical movies because this was 2014. So they still moved quite a bit, but for the most part, I just had nothing. So I kid you not, like I remember, like I think it was the weekend before Christmas, I had nothing to do. So I just laid on the couch, and I had to bring my TV into the living room because we didn't have a living room television. I had a television in my bedroom, and I brought it out to the living room, and I signed up for a 3-day trial of Showtime and just binge watched. And I'm talking Showtime's app, not like cable. And I just watched like 3 days straight, just like, I watched all of Californication. I watched like the first 3 seasons of Ray Donovan. I mean, seriously, like it was my job. I laid on that couch and I watched Showtime because it was free. So those were simpler times. And then when I got into the podcasting thing, it slowly changed. And now the fourth quarter of the year is nuts.
Yeah.
It just is insane. So I'm not complaining. I'm very happy about all the people joining us and listening, and I'm very happy about all of it. It's just, boy, howdy, is it a lot of work. I feel like lately I'm just the king of good problems to have. Like sometimes I want to punch myself for complaining. Oh, I have to record all these podcasts so people can listen to them. Wah. So anyway, but no, so it's not been a bad season overall.
Just a very, very busy season.
Yes. And, aside from hiring that contractor.
Don't get started on that again.
I won't, but I hate him.
I know, dear.
And he is stupid.
Yes.
That's what I got.
Yep.
But, so that's quite the cheery intro. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we might even talk about Dead End from 2003.
Oh, what a novel idea.
After this. So before this, I do have to say a big thank you to our sponsor for today. And it's a newer sponsor. This is our first week with them. It's AspireDrinks.com. They have energy drinks that are lower in caffeine than the average energy drink. And the caffeine is derived from green tea extract. So it's much more mild, not as intense on
that's nice.
On the constitution. And they have a lot of really great flavors. I have always been a big fan of energy drinks that have natural sourced caffeine because it's not so intense, because I am a delicate flower.
Yeah, it's scary if you get real caffeine.
Yeah, that's fair. So, but if you head to AspireDrinks.com right now and use promo code SPOOKY at checkout, you get 25% off your order, and it supports the show directly. So if you are the type who likes to pound some energy drinks and keep yourself moving around the holidays and beyond, head to AspireDrinks.com. Use promo code SPOOKY. We'd really appreciate the support. And big thank you to all the Spookies who have been checking out our sponsors here and there. We've been experimenting with new sponsorships. And a big thank you to Aspire Drinks for giving us a little bit of support.
Yeah.
But now it's time to talk about the film, which I suppose is the entire purpose of the show.
Allegedly.
Yes. And the film is from 2003. It's called Dead End, starring Ray Wise. And I'm going to give the rundown, just the basic rundown from Google. When a family en route to a Christmas Eve gathering decides to take a shortcut down a wooded road, an eerie sequence of events signals trouble ahead. After nearly colliding with an oncoming car, Father Frank picks up a ghostly hitchhiker and her infant child. Wow, this is really long. With the sudden appearance of their new passengers, the route becomes dark and treacherous, and the family's number rapidly begins to dwindle in a series of seemingly connected grisly roadside accidents. Okay, it's not a terrible rundown, but it was really long.
Yeah.
Jeez, just kept going. So that's Dead End, and it is a Christmas wintry car horror film.
Yeah.
Which may sound familiar because last time we were talking, we talked about another Christmas wintry car thriller horror movie called Wind Chill from 2007.
Yeah.
And that movie had a much bigger budget, a bit more cachet behind it. You have nothing to say?
Oh, no, I was actually just looking at the budget for Dead End. No, what separates budget and wind chill isn't just, sorry.
What separates budget and wind chill?
Sorry, I was reading this while I was trying to talk. So what separates Dead End and wind chill isn't just the budget. What separates them is also, while they have a similar synopsis of, like you said, being a car movie, a dead of winter movie, very wintry,
Christmas Eve,
very Christmassy. Yeah, on Christmas Eve. The execution is so incredibly different because whereas Wind Chill is more of like a slow burn and it's a very, very intimate dive into just two characters. With Dead End, it's more of a what's the word when you've got a large ensemble, a large cast of characters. So it's an ensemble cast, and it's got more of that early 2000s crime thriller feel to it. That's just kind of the vibe that I got from it.
Okay.
So they both have their similarities, but it's just like they went two completely different directions on how they executed it, which is why I wanted to talk about both of them, is because, there's similarities, but there's so much there that you can, sink your teeth into.
Well, I've been talking about one of the movies and had somebody think I was referring to the other one until I got into the details.
Yeah.
Because, car trip, Christmas Eve, haunted road.
Yeah, the broad strokes, they sound almost exactly the same.
They do. One big difference, so here's a bizarre coincidence between the two. Both films were directed by teams.
Really?
Which is not super common.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Wind Chill, I forget who directed it, but we're not talking about Wind Chill. That was last time. But Dead End was written and directed by Jean-Baptiste Andrea and Fabrice Canepa.
Okay.
And you may notice those names all sound very French. That's because the film is French.
It is. Okay.
Now,
is it French Canadian or just French?
French. The movie was made by French filmmakers financed by French money, but it was made in America. It was shot in Los Angeles. It was written in English. It was shot with an American cast, or at least I believe they were all American. The other big name other than Ray Wise is Lin Shaye.
Yeah.
Lin Shaye, who became a very big name in the Insidious movies. And she was in the original Nightmare on Elm Street briefly because her brother, Bob Shaye, founded New Line Cinema, the company that made the Freddy Krueger movies. So the cast is pretty solid, especially having Lin Shaye and Ray Wise playing the two the married husband and wife. Yeah. Ray Wise, who I know you'll remember because he was in Digging Up the Marrow, which is a great film, but he was also in Swamp Thing in 1982. That was also a big one. A lot of people remember him for. He was in Jeepers Creepers 2 in 2003, X-Men First Class in 2011. He's been in a ton of films and TV shows.
Yeah. And he's every time I see him, I enjoy him.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's phenomenal. From what I understand, he ended up replacing somebody at the last minute on Dead End.
Really?
And kind of brought a lot of renewed confidence to the project because he was a somewhat recognizable actor and they had lost their lead of sorts. Yeah. And then they scored Ray Wise. He was also on like an episode of the X-Files. He's been on all kinds of stuff. He's still with us. He is 78 years old.
And he looks good for 78 too.
I haven't seen him recently.
Oh, I was just looking at the picture on Google.
Well, Lynn Shaye's 82.
Yeah, and she looks great too, according to Google.
Lynn's still acting.
Good for her. Wow.
Well, I mean, the last Insidious film was 2023. So
that's very recent.
Well, and that's a big deal. That's something people don't talk about a lot. She's the lead in the Insidious franchise. She took over like by, I think, part 2 or part 3 and became pretty much the main character in those movies. Those are like some of the biggest box office movies ever to have the lead actor be an elderly woman. I think that's awesome.
That is great. Yeah.
I hope it didn't come. I didn't mean like elderly woman to be insulting, but I mean, she is literally a senior citizen.
By definition. Yeah.
And it's not often that any elderly person gets to lead a movie, but if they do, they tend to be like friggin' Robert Redford or something. So It's awesome that Lynn Shaye, that like there's a horror franchise that's basically led by an old lady who is not just, and she's not playing like a scary, that whole joke about A24. It's like old woman plus naked equals horror. That's not what she's doing. She's acting, she's playing a character that people really are endeared to.
Yeah.
So when we get back, we'll talk about first viewings of Dead End and start digging into a little bit of the story right after this. So Dead End 2003.
Yeah.
This one, I actually, last time we were talking about this, I did not remember exactly how I saw it, but now I do. It was one of the early films on Netflix, digital.
Oh, cool.
Streaming or whatever you want to call it. It was one of the very early ones, and that is how I saw it. And I think I saw it before Wind Chill, maybe. And I'm, because I know for a while I had them both confused.
Yeah.
But I remember putting it on, being amped that it was a Christmas movie. Unfortunately, there's no snow. It takes place in California. They filmed it in California.
Yeah.
They do get across a sense of cold, but it is not a snowy movie. That's the biggest way you can tell them apart, is one has tons of snow, which in many ways is due to budget.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how much Wind Chill cost, but it cost a few $1 million at least. Dead End cost $900,000. So a relatively svelte budget in 2003. It was certainly shot on 35 millimeter film.
Yeah.
I will say there's a rumor going around about Dead End that it was this monster hit on DVD, but I can't find any source. Like, I can't find any reliable source for where the number comes from, but people are claiming that that it did $77 million in DVD sales. While that's possible, if that were the case, I feel like Jean-Baptiste Andrea would have done more than one other movie. I mean, because his career's just not been that eventful. If he had directed a movie that made that kind of money, I mean, in that time period between 03 and 06, I was working in the DVD business, and that's insane sale money. I mean, that's really, really good money for a major movie, not a little movie. So, I mean, I would say it would be impressive if it did 7 million.
Yeah, that's still a
damn good.
Very impressive number. Yeah.
So, but yeah, apparently there's no source for that citing where that came from. I do want to mention, by the way, that you can watch it right now. It's very easy to get your hands on. You can watch it for free on Tubi, Pluto TV, Amazon Prime Video with ads, Plex, or you can rent it wherever you rent your movies. Amazon Prime Video if you don't want to watch ads, Fandango at Home, Apple TV, they all have it. And
it's everywhere.
And it really is a great watch. When I first had seen it and wasn't completely, I don't know, like it just kind of happened. I kept forgetting parts about it. Like for years, I was like, oh yeah, that was the other Winter Haunted Road movie. But that one, oh, you know what it was? It was, there was the other Winter Haunted Road movie, but this one took place at Christmas. Cause for a while I kept remembering Wind Chill as not taking place at Christmas, just being winter.
Okay.
And then, as time went on and now you can just access any movie you want, anytime you want, anywhere you want, damn near. I've watched them so many times now. I'm like, oh, I know exactly when they take place.
Yeah.
But at the time I would get confused. But yeah, this one, it's got great scares, great characters, tons of memorable moments, some really bizarre moments, which I think are better explained by the French being involved.
Yeah. Suddenly there's some scenes that make a lot more sense now.
Well, the French have a very broad sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why they love Jerry Lewis. That is such an old joke. Like, that was an old joke in the 90s when people were saying it around me when I was a kid, that the French love Jerry Lewis. And now I'm making that joke, and it's been almost 30 years since the 90s.
It's the gift.
Or
that
almost 40
giving.
years since the 90s. Sorry. So, anyway. So, I know that I showed you this movie. It's become like a humorous trope that most of these movies, it's like, so when did you see it, Rachel? And you're like, when you showed it to me. Because I am your horror Sherpa.
It's true.
But oftentimes, not always, but often you pick the movies we talk about.
Yeah.
And this is no different. You picked Wind Chill and Dead End back to back because they have so much in common.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to know what made you want us to talk about Dead End for cutting deep into horror.
Well, not only did I want to compare and contrast Dead End and Wind Chill, because there's a lot they have in common, which we spoke about briefly, but there's also a lot that is different. Like you said, Wind Chill is a very snowy movie, whereas Dead End, it feels kind of like winter, but it's cold, but it's not snow. It's
more like the way Christmas actually is in most of the US.
Yeah.
It's rarely just piles and piles of snow.
Yeah.
It's very rare.
Which the color palettes for Wind Chill are like blues and whites and blacks, whereas with Dead End, it's more of like greens and browns and grays. Like, so they've got a lot of differences going on visually.
Well, at that time, monochromatics were so in.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the Saw movies, they kind of established this idea of monochromatics. If you look back at those movies, neither of them have very vibrant color at all.
Yeah.
Although I think some of that also goes to Dead End having very good photography. They really played with lighting and darkness and shadows because they shot the film on, if I'm remembering correctly, on like a 400 meter stretch of road.
Oh, wow.
So not that much space.
No.
And I mean, that's, it's more road than I got, but, but it's not that much space. And they shot it at night, and it was shot, I believe, in the summertime.
Okay.
So to make it feel atmospheric, to make it feel cold, to make it feel all those things, you would have to really play with shadows and the way you use light. And one thing Dead End does that I think really helps keep you on edge, even as it gets kind of funny at times or gets a little bit wild at times, is it doesn't have any hyper realism. There's no blue moonlight bathing through the trees. It just doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And that's a very common thing to do. I mean, I do it. I love the blue shaded moonlight, which doesn't really exist, but we all see night like that in movies. That's the way we understand night. So I think that the atmosphere is a real strong element of this movie. And I feel like it's, if I'm honest, I think it's a more masterful use of filmmaking technique, as to where Wind Chill, it's like they had all the snow, they had some really good actors, they had a great location. I think that they were able to literally build their atmosphere.
Yeah.
As to where in Dead End, they created it using the tools of filmmaking.
Yeah.
It's also worth mentioning that unlike Dead End, Wind Chill has, you know, an opening at a college, and then they're at a gas station and a restaurant and this bathroom. And then once they're stuck in the car, they end up wandering and seeing things. Dead End is on this strip of road, in the car, and in that little shed kind of cabin thing. Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a brief thing toward the end. I mean, we already warned you about spoilers. There's a brief thing toward the end at the hospital, but that's it.
But that's it. Yeah.
It's a very, very simple film.
Mm-hmm. But that's the other thing that I really liked, and why I wanted to discuss these two movies back to back, is because they're both a masterclass in utilizing the tools that you have at your disposal as efficiently as possible. So, like, with Dead End, because they have, you know, Ray Wise and Lin Shaye and this great ensemble cast, they were really able to lean into the character development, and especially the history between characters. They were really able to bring that up. Whereas with Wind Chill, because it's only those two characters, we really had to spend a lot more time getting into their individual heads. So it's just a matter of taking the tools that you have and utilizing them as best as you possibly can. And I that's why I wanted to bring it to people's attention, so that they could kind of sit down and appreciate them both for their differences and their similarities.
I mean, I think that's fair. So with that all being said, we'll dive into the actual nuts and bolts of the film right after this.
So Dead End opens on a family driving down a winding road. It very clearly is the West Coast-ish region. And we do get, I know, laugh at me all you want.
No.
I know, we had all that time to prep. Why didn't I clear my throat then?
Well, you're a notorious throat clearer. No, because sometimes you've been talking, like, just not on a show or anything. You've just been talking, and I've literally been like, please clear your throat. Because you just keep, like, well, it's like, I don't know what that is. What
super phlegmy. And
it's just like morphing, you know, and I'm just like, no, please clear your throat and then continue.
So voice morphing aside. So this family, there is a dad and a mom in the front seat. And then in the back seat is daughter and the son. They're both, older, probably late teens, possibly early 20s.
Well, the daughter is a psychiatrist, so she'd have to be
she's
in her
in her
mid
20s.
to late 20s.
Okay.
Yeah.
The son, it is kind of ambiguous.
I would guess he was just out of high school or maybe a senior in high school.
Yeah, something like that. And along with them is also the daughter's boyfriend, Brad, I think.
I
think that's its name.
Yep. I mean, well, there's a Brad in it. I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brad. I'm not totally insane. So they're all driving around, and it's pretty apparent that this has been a long road trip. And the mom's kind of nagging the dad, mentioned something about, drive carefully because I've got the all the presents in the back, and I've got the pie that we want to give to the family. And he's like, nah, it's fine. It'll be fine. And pretty, he dismisses her, and she just kind of goes about her business. She goes to sleep because, again, it's been a long road trip. Everybody else is kind of nodding off. And then the dad, he starts to nod off. And another car is coming on the other side of the road, approaching them, and he barely wakes up just in time and kind of swerves, barely missing the other vehicle, crashes off the side of the road.
Well, they don't crash.
They don't crash. But,
yeah, that's the
Oh, that's right.
No, they just pull off the side.
Pull off the side of the road. Gonna mix up the movies. But they swerve, they pull off to the side of the road. Everyone is okay. Nobody's hurt. So the dad kind of admits, like, yeah, I guess I was starting to like doze off there, and everyone's pretty disappointed at him. But his whole complaint is they do this drive every year, and it's so super boring, and he hates, he hates visiting her family. And maybe is that not argument not there right at the start
the
of
whole
movie?
point is the reason they're not on the road that they're supposed to be on is he took a different route because of how boring the drive usually is.
And he doesn't.
So he's not doing the drive that he's done every time.
That's what it is.
But that's the joke, is that he says
he didn't want to doze off
because he didn't want to be bored, and he still started dozing because he was bored.
Yeah. So we immediately get a sense that the family doesn't get along great. The sister and the brother, they kind of snipe back and forth at each other. The boyfriend, to his credit, he's trying to get along with everyone, but the brother especially, like, really doesn't seem to like him, or at least doesn't appreciate his presence.
It's very 2003. He's just constantly calling him gay. I mean, that's really it. He's just constantly calling him gay. He's wearing a baseball jacket.
Yeah.
He's really into baseball. He played baseball in college. The boyfriend, not the brother. And that's like his thing. And he keeps bringing up baseball. And the brother keeps mentioning how, basically he's gay with all of his baseball friends. That's like his go-to insult constantly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And the brother is really, which is, his name is Richard.
Yes.
Because this is the Harrington family. He's really just a little shit. I mean,
he really is.
Well, before things started to get dire later on, it was amusing. It's kind of funny. It's like, oh, he's just kind of gives everybody shit. He's just kind of a little asshole. But he doesn't stop.
No. When
things get weird and bad and scary and weird again, it's got to be two weirds. So, yeah, he just keeps pushing everyone's buttons, but he's especially all about pushing his sister and her boyfriend's buttons.
Mm-hmm. It's like his hobby.
Yeah, and he likes to mess with his mom too a little bit. Mm-hmm. So he's definitely the baby of the family.
Mm-hmm. And we also get a sense that the mom really cuts him a lot more slack than she possibly should. Because he is pushing, he's going around pushing everyone's buttons, and the mom is just making every excuse for his behavior. So yeah, we pretty immediately get a good beat on the family dynamics. So they're driving along these back roads, and they pass a little shack cabin thing, but no one really mentions it. No one says anything. But what they do mention is after they pass the cabin, maybe a mile or so down the road, the dad sees a lady, a woman, in the woods, and she's dressed in a white shirt or white gown, like a dress. And so he immediately stops and pulls over, because what kind of gentleman would he be if he just leaves a poor woman alone in the woods?
And I guess we'll find out after this.
So they see this woman in the white gown, and they pull off to the side of the road, and there's some kind of discussion about what they should do with this woman.
Well, there's no room in the car.
Yeah.
Because there are 3 people in the back, 2 in the front, and it's a station wagon style vehicle, and the back is full of all the Christmas presents for all the cousins and uncles and aunts and grandparents.
Yeah, the whole family. So what they initially discuss is like, how are they going to help this woman? And someone mentions, well, there was that shack a mile or so back. Maybe there's like a telephone or someone lives there. Maybe we could get some help from there. But again, there's not enough room in the car for everyone. So Marion, the daughter, she volunteers to just walk a clip down the road so that the young lady can sit in her seat in the car, and Marion will meet them back at the cabin.
Well, it's funny to me. You're glossing over 2 really interesting things. Number 1, the woman in white doesn't really speak. And when she does, it's to no one in particular. And number 2, she's holding a baby.
Yeah, I guess I should have mentioned both of those.
Just the scary parts. It's okay. Well, no, it's not easy doing this show. It's not easy doing a show about movies because you don't necessarily want to recap an entire movie, but you do want to recap enough so that you can set up the comments and thoughts you have. And sometimes you just get too obsessed, the royal you, not just you, Rachel, too obsessed with just getting through the plot. But the woman in white is really creepy. She's this gorgeous, very tall blonde woman holding what appears to be a baby wrapped up in blankets, although we don't hear a baby coo or cry or anything like that. And this reeks of a ton of vanishing hitchhiker myths, which I've studied those extensively. It's possibly one of my favorite folklore of the Americas, although there are vanishing hitchhikers in overseas folklore as well, mostly in England and Ireland and places like that. But it's very, very common in America, and it's very common for it to be a lady in white. That's a super common element. Resurrection Mary is a lady in white, and she's the most famous vanishing hitchhiker in the world. So they have this odd woman, but of course, from their perspective, it's just a woman on the side of the road on Christmas Eve with a baby. It's freezing cold outside, and she clearly needs help. And this is the super proliferation of cell phones. So, I think couple of them have cell phones and they're not getting any reception.
Yeah, there's no signal.
So they turn around to go back to this, what looks like a cabin. It's like a little shack. They're hoping it's a ranger's cabin or a ranger station. And also worth mentioning, we haven't seen a single light. We haven't seen an intersection. We haven't seen any sign of anything.
Yeah.
Except for that little shack we saw a little bit ago, and now this lady in white. And my guess is that it was like about a quarter of a mile, because as they drive up, little Marion decides to walk herself so she can get some air. But that's when we find out some interesting things that are going on with her.
So as Marion's walking down the road, sorry, I'm reading my notes real quick so that I can make sure that I don't jump ahead. She's walking down the road and smoking a cigarette, or at least trying to smoke a cigarette. Like she pulls the pack out and she goes to light it, and it looks like maybe her lighter is dead or something.
Or it's windy.
Or it's too windy, something like that. And then she starts like rehearsing a conversation to herself. And that's when we realize that while she's aware, or while she and her boyfriend are planning on getting engaged, she's planning on breaking up with him. But also, is this when she reveals
that she's pregnant?
Too. So not only is not only is she sitting there thinking, she's sitting there planning her exit strategy with Brad, she's also kind of rehearsing in her head what she's going to do, because she doesn't want to stick around with him, but she doesn't necessarily, not want to have the kid either. All the while, the dad and mom and Richard, the son, and Brad and the lady in white, they all arrive at the cabin. The mom and dad, they get out and they decide to go in the cabin. They're going to investigate and see if they can find a phone or find some way of getting a hold of the authorities. Richard, being the little shit that he is, he just hightails it out into the woods with a porno mag.
Well, he says he has to go take a leak, but apparently he wants to pull his pud to a porno mag by the light of a Zippo.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess it was a different time. It was the early 2000s. We had Axe body spray and that.
Yeah, what a winner. What a real winner.
Well, he's supposed to be 19 or 20.
Yeah.
Maybe he's college. I kept getting the vibe maybe he was a senior in high school.
That's what I think. It's 17 to 19, somewhere in that range.
But while he's on his excursion, that leaves Mr. Now I can't remember his name, Brad, alone with the woman in white in the car, and things get, in multiple ways, quite a bit stickier. Not literally, that's the other scene. And we'll get to those right after this.
So Brad, the consummate gentleman, is in the car with the shell-shocked lady in white. She's holding a bundle of blankets and kind of caressing it and rocking it like it could be a baby. And Brad, he really is, he is trying. That's one of the things that I like about Brad is even when Richard is busting his balls, even when the dad is kind of busting his balls, Brad's still a good sport about everything. Mm-hmm. And so he really is he's trying to talk to this lady. He's trying to ask where she's from and, if she needs any help. And then he starts gushing about Marion and that once Marion's there, she'll be able to help because she's the best psychologist he knows. And, she works so hard to get through college and she's the smartest person he knows. And he's going to ask her to marry him. And the woman in white really does not seem to be registering any of that. She's pretty disconnected.
Yeah, I would say so.
And we get the vibe that she is totally dissociated from everything. And that's when she kind of starts rambling on. And she starts talking about her baby. And then she just kind of shoves it into Brad's face and says, here, take this, hold it. You need to hold my baby. And he's a nice guy. So he holds the baby and he's kind of oh, I've never even really done this. Am I doing it right? And that's when he realizes this baby's really cold. And he kind of pulls back one of the blankets and we don't even see it.
No,
because we just
anything.
hear him scream.
No, we don't.
We don't.
No, he asks her how the baby breathes through all those blankets.
How the baby breathes through the blankets.
And it's one of the creepiest scenes in the entire movie because she laughs like it's a really funny joke. Not like a crazy, a legitimate, because he's dead. And it's friggin' mortifying. So then he screams when she apparently shows him the dead baby. And the scream startles Richard, who is finishing bopping the bishop. And when everybody runs back, Brad and the woman are gone.
Yeah. No sign of them.
None. And at that point, Marion is almost to the cabin, and that's when we first see the hearse, which makes up the poster image for the film, which is a hearse with a person kind of like pounding to try to get out of the back.
Mm-hmm.
We see the hearse driving away, and her boyfriend is in the back of the hearse, like pounding on the window, trying to call to Marion.
Yeah. And she watches him stuck in this car as it drives off, and she just books it to the cabin, and she starts screaming that they've got Brad, they've taken him, we need to save him. So they all pile into the car, and they peel off down the road trying to chase after the hearse. And as they are careening down the road, there's something in the middle of the road. So they come to a stop and all get out of the car, and we never see it, but everyone is absolutely mortified when they look at this thing in the road.
Yeah, they definitely play with the theater of the mind on it.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite things about this is the fact that when she starts screaming about this, Frank, her dad, doesn't really ask a lot of questions. I mean, like, once he sees how panicked she is and she says, like, she saw a car running down, he's like, well, which way did they go? How far ahead were they? He just gets in the car, everybody in the car, and they just book it trying to catch whatever is going on.
Mm-hmm.
But when they find the body, they really play up all these very dark humor elements about how messed up his body is. At one point, I don't know if this is immediate, but at one point they try to get his cell phone.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that sequence is so wild, because as they pull the cell phone, you realize that the cell phone's antenna is hooked through an earring in his ear, which is not attached to his body. Like, the ear is just attached to the cell phone, which just raises more questions than answers. But also we hear things like, after they see his body, Frank is just like, Jesus Christ, like, they must have taken an axe to him. And Richard is saying, more like a chainsaw.
Yeah.
So all we know is that he is just ripped to shreds.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see much beyond like a hand, or maybe that might've been Richard, that we see a hand off screen,
mm-hmm.
or coming in off screen. So it's very playing with our expectations off screen.
Yeah.
And it works really well, because this movie is not very thick on plot. It's very thick on characterization. It's very thick on atmosphere, and it's very thick on just ooky.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you feel unsettled when you watch it, because it's pretty creepy.
It is.
And it's consistently creepy. When even when they were going through the ranger station, or whatever you want to call it, because it was just some kind of cabin, it's full of taxidermy and old traps and nothing else.
Yeah.
The road just really feels like it never ends, and it's all the same, which I think really has an effect on your brain.
And it's real foggy.
Yeah, and it's very foggy,
like,
which is smart, because it helps makes it look like it might be colder.
Yeah. Yeah. So, they find Brad, and that also just totally wrecks Marion. And she absolutely breaks down, and, just goes into hysterics.
Well, that's after she uses the phone, right?
Well, no, they lead her off when they're trying to get the phone. They kind of lead her off, so that she can sit in the car. But yeah, then the mom.
Oh, it was the mom who uses the phone.
The mom
you're right.
uses the phone. So she gets the phone. She's the only one who's like not squeamish about using the really gross, bloody, disgusting phone.
She gets Richard to grab the phone.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite, because as he's takes the phone, he pulls the ear off of it she takes the phone and then she goes, "Put that down. It's dirty." And he throws the ear down, which is just the family dynamics work very, very well in this. And as Laura goes to call 911 on the phone, that's not exactly what she gets. But what she does get is something much scarier. And we'll talk about it after this.
So Laura, the mom, she dials 911, and instead of getting what you would normally anticipate with a bad connection, it's not just a crackly, connection over the cell phone. They're getting straight up demonic voices and real hateful, evil stuff as she's trying to ask for help over 911, and she's asking, is anyone there, can anyone hear me? And it's just evil voices. So she kind of throws the phone down, okay, let's not do that anymore.
Yeah, because she hears a woman begging for help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then she gets to talking with her husband and with Richard about what they should do about Brad. So they decide to take his body off the side of the road because they just can't bear the idea of just leaving what's left of him there. And that's when Marion really starts to freak out, because she comes out from the car and she sees them dragging him away, and she just starts screaming and throwing her fists, and her mom freaks out and grabs her by the shoulders and starts slapping her in the face, telling her to get it all together. And then the dad grabs the mom and pulls her away. And it kind of almost, in a real sad way, reminds you of the Three Stooges kind of slapstick, where somebody's freaking out in hysterics and they're taking turns slapping them.
I mean, that was a trope in a lot of stuff, to slap people when they're hysterical. Well, and the mother, Laura, she's heard this woman screaming and begging for help on the phone and has told nobody. She's kept that to herself for whatever reason. She has decided probably not to scare anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So she's way on edge.
Mm-hmm.
Way on edge. And they get back in the car and they keep on rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a regular occurrence in this film, that, that kind of bookends every big incident, is then they get back in the car and they keep on trucking.
Yep.
And hoping that, maybe next time it won't be so bad.
Maybe the next leap will be the leap home.
Well, I mean, I do love me some Quantum Leap. But as they're driving along, on a dark road, in the middle of the night, in the cold, they, as often happens in dark car rides at night, some truth comes out, and Frank kind of admits that he doesn't like Laura's family very much. He doesn't really enjoy spending a lot of time with them. We've had references about the gun nut brother and her parents being really snobby and annoying. So this pisses Laura off quite a bit. And this is another element of the movie that I think works really well. We get a ton of realistic family strife. And whenever it starts to come to a head, whenever it starts to really click, then the horror comes right back.
Yeah.
So as they're going into it and Laura's tearing into Frank about insulting her family, that's when they notice there's a friggin' baby carriage in the middle of the road. A black baby carriage from friggin' 1940 looking baby carriage, an antique baby carriage, just sitting in the middle of the damn road. And of course they stop. Richard decides to go take a look. They all get out of the car But Richard decides to go take a look and decides when he looks inside of the, what's it called, a bassinet?
Yeah.
He decides to start screaming and make it seem like something in it is grabbing him. And then he laughs it off. And because what a dick. Like, literally somebody died.
Yeah.
Horribly. And you saw his corpse. Maybe
not just a
cut out the
stranger
jokes.
either, like someone who was going to be part of your family potentially.
Yeah. Okay. But maybe when you put it that way, it is kind of funny. But, so, you know, he can't help but make with the jokes, I guess. So they decide they're going to move this bassinet thing out of the road and keep on driving. But Richard gets abducted by the hearse.
Mm-hmm.
So, and please.
Oh, sorry. I was reading I was reading my notes, and before the son gets abducted by the hearse, there's one of my favorite scenes, which is when after they've found the bassinet and the dad and the mom are outside of the car. The dad's getting that bottle of booze and gifting himself some holiday cheer.
I needed a lot more than he does.
That's when Richard is in the back seat alone with Marion while she's just staring dead-eyed off into the distance, and he starts like actually getting vulnerable with her.
Yeah, this is a good scene.
And this is one of my favorites because it's too easy, especially with Richard's character, but with any of these characters, it would be too easy to write them off as being like cheesy stereotypes. But
one-dimensional.
Yeah, like one-dimensional. But this is one of those scenes, and there's several of them that add so much depth to the characters. And, Richard admits to Marion that she's like the smartest person he knows, and he wants her back. And he knows that she would be able to get them out of this situation. And I just really like that because we get to see a side of Richard that we didn't know was there. And then on the other hand, when he doesn't get a response from her, when he's like bearing his heart and soul to her, he goes back to being even more Richard, because then to try and like get any kind of reaction out of her, and even a bad reaction is still a reaction. He admits that when they were little kids, he was the one who microwaved her hamster, and he was the one who killed the hamster, and she still doesn't react. And that, upsets him even more. So I don't know. I just wanted to bring attention to that scene because it's really touching, and it kind of shows how multifaceted these characters are.
No, I agree. It gives him more depth just in time to take him away so that you care. No, but I mean, you care. Yeah. No, it works. It works incredibly well. And, it's a phenomenal scene, a very understated scene that works very well. And when they go to save Richard, Frank notices the woman in white yet again. So as they've been driving around, we had a few little like creepy things happen, including the radio station, which was pretty creepy. But I think my favorite part of that, and the reason I'm bringing it up, is the way that Frank tries to rationalize everything.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's not destructive. I mean, it is constructive to try to make sense of what's going on. So, when they're hearing like a radio station that basically sounds like the bowels of hell with screaming and stuff, he's like, sounds like public radio, like some experimental thing or whatever. And Laura's just kind of like, what? Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
And the tire blows out. We end up seeing Richard taken away after we witness the woman in white. They chase after him, because now the movie is starting to really book it.
Yeah.
And further along the road, they find Richard's body.
A little abruptly.
Yes. And he has been burned to a crisp. He has been immolated.
Yeah, totally.
And after finding Richard's body, that is when Laura starts to lose it. The mom starts to become very, very off. And this is some of the most memorable moments of the film, because when she's playing crazy, Lin Shaye is just fascinating to watch as she's just kind of like looking around like a little curious child. And I mean, there are all these scenes, like there's a part where she's just shoveling a pie
directly into her gob hole,
and then asking if anybody wants any, as she's been like not even slicing it. Yeah, she's just pulling it was chocolate pumpkin pie, because earlier in the movie, that was what she was telling him to drive carefully about, was because the pumpkin pie almost got ruined. So she is starting to really lose it. And before that, she was already losing it because she was pointing out there have been no landmarks. There have been no crossroads. There have been no sign of anything. It's just been empty road this whole damn time. And on top of that, on top of all of it, my brain just went like, bah. On top of all of that, they should have seen something. They've been driving almost 80 miles.
Yeah.
And just at that moment, though, they see a sign.
Yeah.
One sign, the first sign this whole time. And it says Marcotte.
Yeah.
With an arrow. That's it. An arrow, and it says Marcotte. They look at the map. There's no Marcotte on the map, but the road doesn't even seem to really be on the map. And earlier, I believe, Frank had made the plan of like, since the North Star is, over there, we just keep going this way because this is west.
Yeah.
And we have to reach the ocean.
Yeah.
Eventually, we'll just reach the ocean because we're going west. So that's when he starts to devise, okay, Marcotte must be like a military base. That's why it's not on the map. So we must be on a military road, one of those private military roads. And that's why we don't see anything. We haven't seen anybody, and it's not on our map or anything. And all of that makes some degree of sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like in the realm of bizarre things happening, aside from the other things happening, which it's a little bit harder to make that make sense. But that's what they're going with. And Marion is starting to come back to reality and is starting to be Frank's confidant now that Laura has pretty much checked out. Yeah. Well, as they're trying to figure out what they're going to do, there are a lot of great moments. The shotgun is pretty great. They reveal that there was a shotgun was a gift for their uncle, the gun-loving uncle. And it comes into play.
Yeah. Well, and I love too, because this is when we start that drama and the history between the family that I had alluded to. This is when we really start digging all of that up. Because when Laura's going into hysterics initially, after they find Richard's body, she's kind of screaming and wailing, and she's convinced herself that he'll wake up any minute now. This is just one of his pranks. Which we, as the audience, we know that Richard is prone to pranks, but that it is very clear that this is not just one of his pranks. He is not going to just wake up.
No, but he's a toasted corpse.
He's a corpse. But she starts crying about how this is like that time when they went on vacation with his father. And Frank's...
Well, she said this time we went on vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, because she doesn't say his father yet. She just says when we went on vacation.
And Frank's like, well, we never went there. And that's when she says, no, we went with his father.
His real father.
And that's when we realize, oh, whether she's being truthful or not, we're not entirely certain, but she's revealing to everyone that she had an affair. And Richard is the product of that affair. And she even names her affair partner. His name was Alan.
Mm-hmm.
And she keeps alluding to this as she's going like goo goo gaga crazy.
Well, yeah, and because it's becoming clear that there's some kind of special flame burning for this Alan guy, who we later find out Frank mentions Alan was a friend of his who stopped coming around years and years and years ago. And she is just still doting over the son, Richard, who I forget what she kept saying, like, no, he's supposed to be, I forget the name.
Some other name.
Yeah. But she's like, no, that was the name Richard, or that was the name that Alan wanted him to be. So that's his real name. And she's just pushing this. And to Frank's credit, he is really not freaking out.
No.
Which, I mean, they've been married 30 years?
Yeah, something.
He must have known or had suspicions of some sort,
Mm-hmm.
Like he must have heard that and went, okay. A lot of that makes sense.
Yeah, like that tracks.
What am I going to do? Scream and yell like we're in the middle of people disappearing and showing up mutilated, burned alive and shit.
Yeah.
So, what am I going to do? So,
well, and I also love that there's several instances where he makes it very clear that this new information does not change the fact that he is Richard's father.
Yeah.
And I think that's again another little very emotionally deep part of the movie that makes it so long lasting to me is as much as Richard and Lauren nag at each other, he still got her back, and he still cares for his children, even if he's deeply annoyed by them sometimes.
Oh, Frank is a really good example of a patriarch in a family overall.
Yeah.
Although he starts to go down. I mean, everybody does in a little bit, and we'll get to that. But man, so now that Laura's gone completely bonkers, keeps talking about the real father of Richard, things are getting really extra tense, and they're not getting any better. But we'll talk about that after this.
So we mentioned Laura going bananas, and
it's pumpkin.
And she is absolutely shoveling a chocolate pumpkin pie into her face, which I've never heard of a chocolate pumpkin pie before, but I really want to try.
I mean,
she makes it look not great.
It looks like a pumpkin pie with chocolate sauce on top or something like that. Yeah.
But I love that because Lin Shaye's, you had mentioned it, Lin Shaye's insanity is delightful and terrifying at the same time. Because there is so much not there. And her just eating this pie gleefully with her bare hands is a great example. She's a little 5-year-old, and then she starts shoveling chips into her face. And Marion says, you need to slow down. You're going to make yourself sick. And then smash cut.
Well, no, she says, no, I won't.
No,
and then,
won't.
Yeah, smash cuts and she's just ralphing.
She's just, on the side of the road, puking her guts out because she did indeed make herself sick. But that's when Frank and Marion get to have a little bit of their own heart to heart. And they are kind of sitting there talking about what Lauren had said, what she had said about her having an affair and him having an affair. There was all sorts of accusations.
I wouldn't call it accusations. That that's why I understand why you two.
And as they're talking about it, Lauren comes out from behind the car and she's just got the shotgun. and very gleefully points it right at in their direction, and starts joking around that she could end this right now. But she's super, like, she's not being confrontational.
She tells them it's a toy.
It's just a toy.
Yeah, because then she puts the barrel in her mouth and then takes it out as a joke.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden gets very, very serious when she points it again.
Yeah, which you start to become more and more afraid, not just because of the ghosts, but because you realize that she's so broken and unhinged that she's just as dangerous as all the weird stuff that's been going on up until this point. So they try to take the shotgun away, and she just shoots Frank in the leg, and he topples over.
Well, and at first we don't see where she shot him, so it looks like she just friggin' killed him.
Yeah.
And then luckily he's just screaming. And again, another part where they play up a lot of the gallows humor, because then he's on the ground. Ah, my leg. Like, why'd you shoot me in the leg?
So Marion dresses his wound, and she tries to take the car keys, but he insists that he can drive. And so he's driving, she's in the front seat, Mom's in the back seat, and then he just takes the bottle of whiskey and just starts drinking because, like, hey, he's got to dull the pain somehow.
Well, he said, you know of a better painkiller?
Which, fair point. I mean, and it's not like there's any traffic around. He's not going to hit anybody.
Sure. I wouldn't predict anything. Not on this stretch of road.
It's all up for grabs.
Yes. Yes.
So Marion, as he's driving along, Marion kind of dozes off. And then when she wakes up, he shows her the map. And that's when he starts explaining to her about the North Star. And he's got this theory that Marcotte must be a military town or
a naval base.
Naval base.
Yeah. Well, first he had said a military. That was his first thought when he saw Marcotte twice.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's like, it has to be a naval base because we're heading toward the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So Marcotte must be right on the sea.
Right, it must be there. And that's when it's around this point that he also starts talking about that this story reminds him of stories he heard when he was a kid about people lost on abandoned roads. And he starts talking about, how people would get lost, how people would die on these roads. And we start to see that they're both really starting to accept that something strange is going on, because he's been more than willing to kind of explain away and justify every little thing that's happened, and every weird thing that's happened, he's got an explanation for.
Yeah, or at least trying.
At least trying to. But this is the first point where he's like, actually, maybe this could have some other supernatural origin. And that's when, as they're talking about that, as they're discussing like where they could be, and that this is all way too weird, this reminds him of the ghost stories from his childhood, Laura starts talking about the people that she can see in the woods. And she says that she can even see one of her friends in the woods, and she starts waving and like asking if they can stop so that she can go see her friend. Marion asks, well, who's this person? And Frank says, oh, well, that's her friend, but she's been dead for 20 years.
Well, he says it like she's been dead for 20 years. He's very dismissive. He's not willing to play with the idea that maybe there's ghosts going on. That's, not what's up.
And Laura even asks that if the dead are alive, maybe they should pull over the car and check Richard in the back, because maybe things have changed for him. And they're just like, no, we've got to keep driving, just stay put. So she just opens up the car door and just leaps out.
Yeah. Yep. It's again, the comical elements do play a role in why this film is so rewatchable. So she jumps out of the car, and they obviously slam on the brakes to get to her. And I'm pretty sure at that point the hearse is back.
Yeah.
But Frank wards it off with the shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
He's like chasing off with a shotgun, but the shotgun doesn't exactly go. It doesn't work out the way he'd hoped, as we'll explain after this.
So Frank fires the shotgun at the black hearse, and it comes to a slow halt, and then it just retreats. And that's the first time that the hearse has kind of bucked the pattern. So they're feeling kind of good about it, that Frank actually defended them. And then they feel even better because Mom comes out from the woods and she looks a little disheveled, but she's alive. She's walking. It could be worse. And Frank embraces her, and he's honestly very relieved to see her. And as he's holding her, that's when he realizes like something on the back of her head is kind of sticky. And he touches the back of her head and realizes that she doesn't have a back of her skull.
No.
Her brain is like totally exposed. And he's disturbed, and he kind of points it out like something's wrong with your head. And Laura, she touches the back of her head and then like starts touching her brain like she's masturbating.
I mean, you're the one who made it dirty. I was thinking like when you have an itch. That's like really good.
Yeah.
But it's like going to break the skin.
Yeah, like something.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. So yeah, she touches herself and then just keels over and dies. But when she dies, the person's name that she says is Alan, her affair partner. And that totally crushes Frank.
Yeah.
That is the last of his spirit being conquered. So he goes off and he grabs the shotgun and he puts it to his head, but Marion leaps over and she grabs it and she stops him. And the way she gets him to kind of come back down to reality is that she's having a baby and he can't leave her alone.
Mm-hmm.
And that activates something in Frank where he's like, no, you're right. We do have to keep going. Just even if it is just for the baby.
I mean, it activates the father in him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they get back in the car. And as they're driving.
Well, I think isn't it at this point they mentioned that like maybe we just need to stay in the car because only bad things happen when we stop. I feel like that was something mentioned.
Yeah, it was shortly before this, because at first they're saying like we should stay in the car. Only bad things happen when we get out of the car. But then shortly after this, they start thinking, oh, well, only bad things happen when we're on the road. So maybe the fastest way to Marcotte is going through the woods.
Well, they don't think that. Frank thinks that. Marion thinks that is friggin'
the dumbest thing ever.
Scariest thing ever to get off the road and walk through the woods.
Why would you do that?
Yeah. No, yeah. I just remember that was a big moment because when you're watching this movie for the first time, it's hard. This is one of those movies that's hard to watch it and pretend you don't know how it ends once you know.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's very hard. And when we do reveal and talk about how the movie ends, at the time this movie was made, that was not a cliche ending. That was still a pretty surprising ending.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was watching it for the first time, I remember like sincerely hoping they could get off this stretch of road or find something. I didn't, 100% believe, that Marcotte was a military installation or something, but I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, where are they going? How do they get out of here?
Yeah. No, and that's one of the reasons I like this movie is because even though once you've seen it, the twist, what's going on. But every single time I've watched it, because I think this was either the second or third time we watched it together, every single time you watch it, even if you know how it's going to end, you're still hoping for a different ending. You're still like, there's still that feeling of like, it could be different if only they would just choose different actions. And that's kind of at the heart of these Lost on the Haunted Road kind of stories. Thematically is that feeling of, repetition of feeling like, can we break the pattern by making other choices? It's explored more in Wind Chill, but it is still explored in Dead End of this idea of kind of like going through where hell or purgatory is going through the same thing over and over and over.
There are a few pretty good haunted road movies. Man, I've always enjoyed them. The concept of a haunted road. But they're getting tired of this crap and they're thinking about maybe it's time to abandon the road after this.
So they haven't come to the coast. They haven't come to any kind of signs of civilization. And Frank finally starts insisting that they should ditch the car and just walk straight through the woods because that will get them to Marcotte or anywhere faster than they would otherwise. And it's spooky. It's scary in the woods. At some point, Frank even like walks into barbed wire because it's so dark they can't even see in front of them. And they see a light in the distance. And that's the first time, honestly, since they saw that little like tiny cabin shack thing, that they've seen any signs of other human life. Mm-hmm. So they start booking it toward the light.
Well, because when they hit the barbed wire fence, it was a fence.
Yeah.
Which that would be a sign that there are people at least have been there. So they cross through the fence, they see that light, and they chase after it.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty solid reveal.
So they chase after the light and burst through the undergrowth of the trees, and it's their car.
Yeah, it was their headlights.
And they instantly start arguing about it because Marion says, like, well, we must have gotten turned around. Obviously, like, we've just gone in big circles. And Frank points out, like, well, if we got turned around, then we came from the wrong direction.
Yeah, then why didn't we come from the other side? We went in that way and came out that way.
Yeah.
And also, the car's locked. Why are the headlights on? And that's when he suspects that Laura's still alive.
Mm-hmm.
So he unlocks the car to check, and she is very much dead, which is a very chilling moment because he uncovers her and you just see her there, cold, lifeless, and gray.
Yeah. But it does not explain why the lights were on. So now they're abandoning the idea of walking through the woods because it's clear that's not getting them further. So they get back in the car and they start driving some more, like any good road trip.
Of course.
There's more and more driving. And this time it's Marion driving. Frank kind of finally acquiesces to her. She looks over and she realizes that he's writing something on a piece of paper. And she asks him, what are you writing? And he kind of jokes around with her at first, like he doesn't want to reveal it. And then he tells her, well, I'm writing a list of what I want to do when this is over. And so they start talking, kind of joking around about what he should do when this is all over. And they talk about getting him a game system. And he says he wants an Atari. And Marion says, well, I think a PlayStation is kind of more the thing nowadays. And he's like, what's a PlayStation? She's like, oh no, I think an Atari's good for you.
Atari's cooler anyway.
Anyway.
And another great moment of levity too, because he says, I'm writing what I'm going to do when I get out of here. And when she kind of cajoles him to show her for him to show her the paper, he's literally wrote what I'm going to do when I get out of here as the heading, which I thought was really funny.
That's great.
So he hasn't written any specifics yet, but as he's writing the next thing, he gets a lot more dour. And she's like, what are you writing? And he's just like, none of your damn business.
Yeah. And kind of really brushes her off. It's really guarded.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I'll put it that
more
way.
than brushing. He's
got very,
aggro.
very guarded. So we don't really know what all that's about. But they come back to the cabin ranger
shack, whatever the hell it is. Yeah.
It's definitely the same one as last time. And they go in trying to find anything to help themselves. They turn on, they kind of flip a switch, but the bulbs blow. And so Marion goes back outside. She's trying to find something to get light or get a flashlight so that they can see in there. And Frank kind of lights a match and he's just looking around on the inside of the cabin. And as he's looking around, there's rustling noises, and then it's almost like something jumps him and he drops the match. But he doesn't get hurt. Marion runs in and he's got an axe and he's just kind of
just
swinging
wrecking the place
wildly.
Yeah, and he's saying, there's someone in here. And this is where you start to really pick up on the futility. It's starting to really feel futile. Like no matter what they do or where they go, something is after them and it takes whatever form is necessary. There's literally no escape. They walked in a straight line away from the car and didn't even go in a circle. They went right back to where they came. They got turned around.
Yeah.
And, the whole concept of Frank wanting to constructively write down like what he's going to do when he gets out of there, that's a method of trying to survive.
Yeah.
Having things to look forward to. But think about that reality. I mean, his wife is gone. His son is gone. He really only has his daughter and his future grandbaby. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be weighing on him heavily.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the fear of losing the one last person in the world he has.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. And no wonder why he starts breaking down and going into his own hysterics. Because he's being crushed by the futility of the situation. And to try and lighten things up, as Marion's leading him back to the car, like trying to collect themselves and especially trying to like collect him, he kind of jokes around and asks where his bottle of whiskey is. And she reminds him that she threw it away. She threw it out the car because it wasn't doing anyone any favors. And he gets really enraged and he actually slaps her like really hard. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he hits her real hard. And he's just like a different person. Like, he says this whole thing about like, don't you ever get in the way of me and my liquor.
Yeah.
And it's very
Yeah,
out of pocket.
Because there's the one slap, and she looks like she doesn't even know what to think.
Yeah.
Not even stunned, like physically, but like emotionally stunned. Like, did that even really just happen? Like, it doesn't even compute. It's like if you told someone like 1 + 1 = purple. It's like doesn't even register. And then he slaps her a second time, and this time it like does register on her face what just happened, but like there's this resignation of she's not going to retaliate. And then he punches her.
Yeah,
like full on decks her and
he
knocks her out.
her for real.
Which woof, because that is so, we don't know Frank well, but we do know that's not characteristic of him. Like he cares deeply for his family. At no point did he get physically violent with anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we know that this is not Frank's character. This is him lashing out because he is cornered.
Yeah,
and
because there's a lot of desperation going on here and a lot of mystery still to be sorted out. And maybe we'll do just that sorting after this.
After punching her, Frank almost immediately realizes what he's done. And he picks up his daughter and he takes her back to the car. He starts crying because he hurt his daughter. He hurt his little girl, and he realizes it's on him. And he also, there's kind of this acceptance that he let his family down. He wasn't able to protect them the way he wanted to. And he's putting Marion in the car. He's trying to keep her safe. And then he sees the woman in white in the woods. And there's not even a second thought. He just grabs the shotgun and follows after her and starts firing after her. And he's screaming and threatening her as he's following her into the pitch darkness of the woods. And he's threatening her because, she hurt his family, and he's threatening her because, all of the bad stuff that's happening. And he follows her into the darkness, and then there's a slashing noise, and then silence. Back at the car, Marion wakes up. She comes to as a figure is circling around the car. We can kind of see their shadow through the windows. We hear someone say, "He's dead." And then the shadow looms like directly above her in the window. She kind of clambers around the car. She gets into the driver's seat and starts it, and she speeds off as fast as she can. But almost immediately, the car runs out of gas and just chugs to a halt. And she's weeping because that was her only chance to get out, and it's just totally gone. She gets out of the car and she slowly starts walking down the road, and she looks down at the road and she sees a pen. And I think it was the pen that her dad was writing with, but I'm not sure.
It was, yeah.
And she's kind of staring at the pen a little dumbfounded, and then some red drips on her from the sky, and then more red. And then she realizes it's blood, and she looks up and blood just starts pouring and dripping from the trees, and she screams and runs off. And as she's running along the road and screaming, she's screaming out like to the ghosts, "Let's end it. Just end it now."
Yeah, she doesn't want the torment anymore.
Yeah.
Because all she's doing is losing everyone and everything.
And it's kind of that realization of like the hope is the punishment almost for her. Because there was this constant hope that she'd be able to get out of this, but the more she clung to hope, the more she was punished for hoping. It's just kind of Greek tragedy in a way.
Yeah.
So she's screaming, "Let's end it." She's ready for this to be done. And as she's walking down the road, she sees 4 body bags just lined up neatly in the road. She walks past the first 3, and when she gets to the 4th one, she opens it up, and it's her dad. The hearse comes up, and it pulls up right next to her, and the woman in white appears directly behind her, and Marion falls over. The woman in white assures her that he's not here for you, referencing the hearse. And the woman in white gets into the back of the hearse, and it just drives away. And that's the first time when we see the hearse that someone isn't actively trying to escape it.
Yeah,
as it drives away.
Before it was taking people away.
Yeah, and now there's kind of like...
It's her ride.
Yeah.
And we're starting to have the picture put together. We're starting to have the puzzle pieces fall into place as we're realizing that this is not a reality at all. This is a kind of purgatory.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term, maybe. Yeah. Or it could simply be Marion's own mind kind of dealing with the situation by avoiding the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it gets really heavy, because in a moment, Marion is about to wake up, and the reality of the situation is coming, but it may still not be as entirely cut and dry as you might hope for. And we'll talk about that in a moment. Marion suddenly awakens in the hospital. She's got bandages on her, and she's greeted by a doctor, Dr. Marcotte. And this is one of the elements I think that really clicked with me, because when I saw this film, I didn't get to see it when it first came out. I didn't see it when it was brand new. And we're now finding out that she was in a coma. Her family was killed in a car accident. The car accident that, from our perspective, they had narrowly avoided.
Mm-hmm.
This twist has been used a lot, but it was still somewhat novel when this film came out.
Yeah.
In fact, this ending makes the whole film feel kind of like an extended Twilight Zone episode.
I agree, yeah.
But one of the things that really stuck with me and made me appreciate it a lot was the reveal of Dr. Marcotte. So now that's why the sign said Marcotte. And the way I took that when I watched it the first few times was that these were things she was hearing while she was in her coma. So she was hearing Dr. Marcotte. Although there aren't a lot of other examples of that. Of course, there is the hearse, and we find out that the motorist who drove by and found the wreck was driving a hearse.
Yeah.
He was a classic car collector and kind of an odd looking gentleman. I forget that actor's name, but he always plays kind of gothic characters.
Yeah. Well, and we find out that the woman in white and her baby, they were the other motorists killed in the accident at the start of the movie. So that's why they were constantly showing up, is because they were also involved in the accident. And they passed away along with Marion's family. She's the sole survivor of the accident. So that's why she was constantly seeing the woman in white. That's why she was, constantly seeing her family, but wasn't able to save them. And that's why the hearse and the man in black appeared so nefarious, is because in reality, in her mind, they were the villains, but in reality, they were just guilty by association.
Maybe. Because the way that it's revealed to us that this guy is the one who was driving the hearse is he's chatting with Dr. Marcotte, mentioning how Marion was the only survivor of the crash, how nasty it was. As the doctor's going to leave for the day, her car won't start, and he offers her a ride. And that's when we see that it's the hearse he's driving, and he kind of mentions that he collects cars or whatever. And I mean, that was the car in Marion's dream. I would call it, just, it's all the coincidence, not the coincidences, but the revelation of the reality or whatever. But as the credits roll on the movie, there's a little post or a mid-credit sequence where these two road workers are complaining about having to work on Christmas Day, which I love, because one of the workers looks to the other and says, I should be at home getting stuffed, and the other guy looks and goes, so should they, about the people who died in the car accident.
Yeah.
And they're just, sweeping up debris from the road. And one of them finds the note Frank had written to Marion about things I want to do when I get out of here. That opens a lot of questions, because if all of that was Marion's nightmare of their circumstance, that note was written after they'd all died. So where'd the note come from? How did it end up there? And that's, I think, like the extra coup de grace that makes the movie really stick.
Yeah.
And hang in your brain, because that's just a cool touch, because they don't give you any more than that.
Yeah.
You just get that to make you wonder, did everything we see happen? Because that's physical evidence that it did.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
Is that ending. My favorite things about this movie are the creepy way that ending makes me feel, and because and it's all done in daylight. I mean, they're out in daylight, like sweeping up. It's the creepy atmosphere is gone, and yet it's still freaking you out.
Yeah.
After you've spent 80 minutes in this dark, cold road with this family desperately trying to get anywhere and getting nowhere very fast. So that's my thought. But I mean, do you have any thoughts on what that ending could entail, what it would mean that they found the note, and anything at all? What did you think about the ending when you first watched it?
Oh, I absolutely loved the ending, because you said that it was like an episode of The Twilight Zone, and I absolutely agree. It's just got that feeling of, the mystery being solved. But the mid-credit scene, I love that it muddies the water. I love that it gives you something to think about and chew on, because otherwise I feel like that would almost cheapen the movie, to be like, oh, well, the mystery is solved. It was literally all just in her head. But to have that one loose end of being like, of saying like, well, it was all in her head, or was it? Just makes it so much more entertaining to me.
Well, I agree with that. I think the reason I like it so much is because it ends with this idea, like they wrap it all up in a nice, neat little package with a bow.
Mm-hmm.
They explain everything that you need to explain, including like Richard being immolated because the car was on fire.
Yeah.
Everybody's injuries make sense because of the way the car accident happened. So the reason I love that ending where they find the note is because they wrapped it up so well and explained so many things. It really makes you wonder. After it's given you that, it takes it away from you a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Or maybe this happened. And maybe that guy driving the hearse is some kind of who knows? Because
some kind of Grim Reaper.
He comes off, well, Grim Reapers don't play with you. They just take you to Hades, Some folks call it hell. I call it Hades.
Thank you.
It's all right. I've been thinking about Sling Blade since you accidentally said Hearst a couple, 5-6 minutes ago. I was waiting. I was like, if she says it again, I'm bringing it up. But then since you caught my Sling Blade reference, honestly, I wasn't going to make the reference, but then the way you were looking at me, I was like, oh God, I got to make the Sling Blade reference. But
French fried taters.
We'll collegiately debate this ending a little more after this break. So my point is, the guy driving this hearse, I'm not saying that I'm 100% convinced he's not just a guy who drove by and witnessed this, but the way Dr. Marcotte's car doesn't start, so then he has to give her a ride, and he's very charming.
Mm-hmm.
He is very charming. He's British.
Yeah.
And he's just very charming, really tall, lanky, long black hair, like a little ghoulish, but like not in like a mean way. I mean,
yeah.
It's a horror movie. There's just something about it that sticks in my craw. Like, why would they all each be in the car? Why would that be taking them away?
Yeah.
And I mean, he could very well be death.
Mm-hmm.
That could be. But why would the note exist? Even if they were in limbo,
mm-hmm.
why would it exist? Nothing else existed afterward. So that's my big thought. Like, it does kind of like, it's a noggin scratcher.
Yeah.
I love that ending because of that, because you get it all handed to you in a neat little package. And then it goes, actually, it's the fact, and I'm sorry, because I keep trying to figure out exactly how to say it. It's the fact that it so effortlessly hands you that curveball.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a minor thing to make you wait, what?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't know. Like, could it be they were taken to, could it be that they were in limbo after the wreck, and that the man in the hearse was the Grim Reaper and he was gathering them?
Yeah.
So that he could take them away? But then why would they get in his hearse, or would he put them in his hearse, drive them away, and then leave their mangled bodies on the road? Unless he was taking them to reality, but even that, I don't know.
Taking them to the afterlife.
But he's leaving their mangled corpses. I mean, like, you'd think he'd just take them. Like, why is he leaving their, ripped up bodies for them to find?
I don't know. I'm not a Grim Reaper. I don't know these things.
Also, when I forgot to mention this, but when she finds them in the body bags, they are in the order they die.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Yeah.
Which I just thought was a nice touch. So I don't know, but I think that little tinge at the end is perfect. It's really perfect, because it makes you ask a million questions from a 45-second scene.
Yeah.
So that's just really good storytelling.
Yeah. No, I enjoy it so much.
So I cannot recommend Dead End enough. If you want a Christmas horror film you've never seen, or one that maybe you watched it way back when, revisit it. You'll be glad you did. So before we get out, I mean, is there anything else you want to say about Dead End?
No, I think that just about covers it. I really enjoy this movie.
Me too. No, it's a phenomenal one. And Christmas horror just hits different. So before we take off, we actually got an email. For those who are not aware, you can email us at weeklyspooky@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. You can tell us what you think of the movies we reviewed, recommend things we should check out, etc., etc. This one is from Melissa. The subject line doesn't exist. Well, this was, she actually wrote us this through weeklyspooky.com's contact form. I've been recently listening to Cutting Deep into Horror and Do You Even Movie. I'm Gen X and was a kid and preteen when some of the movies from the 80s came out. I have always loved horror from Nosferatu on up to now. I do have a movie recommendation. It's not really horror, but it's a bit weird. The movie is called Dudes from 1987. I've totally seen Dudes. I kind of adore that movie. It's been a while since I watched it. So I may have to track down a copy because Dudes is it's a bonkers little movie. Let me see if I can find the synopsis real quick. Because it is a very offbeat movie. 3 punk-loving New York City dudes need a change and drive a Volkswagen Beetle to California. After rednecks kill one of them in Arizona, they want justice. A cute girl helps them. That's a cute girl helps them. And it stars Daniel Roebuck, who I love. I'm not going to dig into it more because she digs into more about it. I saw some of the filming in Clarksdale, Arizona. Okay, because it was shot in Arizona. I was in 7th grade and our school, K to 8th grade, went to watch a scene being filmed. That's so cool. It was probably a nightmare for the director. Yikes. Yeah, all those kids making noise. Oof. Anyway, it was an indie film released on VHS and Blu-ray, directed by Penelope Spheris. If I remember correctly, Penelope Spheris went on to do Wayne's World.
Oh, cool.
I'm almost certain that that's the right Spheris. I'm checking because I don't trust myself.
You shouldn't.
Actually, I think I'm wrong. I don't think she did direct that. But she did write Summer Camp Nightmare, which is not a horror movie, but it sounds like it.
It does sound like it.
Oh, wait. See all. No, IMDb sucks, dude. It doesn't work like it used to. She totally directed Wayne's World.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
And the Little Rascals movie, which I always had a soft spot for.
I love that movie.
Let's see. Anyway, sorry, I read that part. Written by Randall Johnson, starred John Cryer, Catherine Mary Stewart, and Dan Roebuck, and Lee Ving, the lead singer in Fear, the punk band.
Ooh.
You know Fear?
No.
And I should have known when you reacted. It was filmed in northern Arizona, not a large budget. You might hate it or not. Keep it real, keep it spooky. Thanks. Oh, and one of my favorite Hitchcock films is Rope. Cheers. I need to revisit Rope. You would probably like Rope a lot.
Yeah, I haven't seen Rope, but I feel like you've told me I need to see Rope.
Well, that sounds like me.
Yes.
Well, Melissa, I will say to you, I am going to put Dudes in my soon-to-watch rotation as soon as the holidays are over. And thank you so much for listening and for writing in. Really do appreciate it. You're the first person to write in directly to Cutting Deep into Horror.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That's very nice of her. So,
on that note, I guess it's time to get out of here.
I guess.
Yeah, jeez. So, sorry, I'm getting worn out by the holiday season. Thank you guys so much for tuning into Cutting Deep into Horror. I hope you enjoyed learning more about Dead End than you ever needed to know. If you love what we're doing here, you can head to weeklyspooky.com/join and sign up for our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You get 2 bonus shows every month and my undying gratitude. So make sure you're subscribed. There's so much more to come. There's always more and more and more on the Weekly Spooky feed. Woo! Rachel, you have the final word.
Don't pick up hitchhikers. Especially if they're ladies wearing a white dress.
Ending the show with a little misogyny. I like that.